A commitment to sustainable science. That's exactly how My Green Lab describes the work it does. And we'll find out how from the CEO on Taking Stock. James, you're the CEO for My Green Lab. Tell me about your company's mission and goals.
Yeah, so My Green Lab is a nonprofit organization with a mission to build a global culture of sustainability in science. So we engage everybody from researchers to some of the largest biotech and pharmaceutical companies in the world to build a future where science actually not only saves lives and does the amazing things that it does, but also does it without having an impact on the environment.
And tell me exactly how you help companies go about reducing their environmental impact.
Yeah, well, and I think that's really important. You know, it's good to evaluate the overall carbon impact of the industry, measure companies, but ultimately companies shouldn't just be setting high-level targets to be net zero. They got to be making and taking action on the ground. So what we do is we have a My Green Lab certification program that engages researchers and scientists at the lab bench to help them understand how they can reduce their environmental impact. And then we also engage with the laboratory supply chain. So the most of the impact in the lab actually comes from the goods that they purchase, all the laboratory supplies. And so we work with the manufacturers of laboratory supplies to help them reduce their carbon impact as well.
Tell me about how labs are so important to the healthcare value chain.
You know, labs are fundamental. Ultimately, research, science is done at the lab bench. Once a drug's created, once a new treatment is created and it's approved by the FDA, it takes about 10 years. You're not going to change it. So if you're going to change the industry, you have to look upstream. You have to look at the scientists and the researchers, what they're thinking about, how they're thinking about green chemistry, how they're incorporating that actually into the process itself. So we get kind of at the heart, sort of the brain of the healthcare industry.
Tell me about some of your most notable collaborations and your involvement with the upcoming COP28.
Yeah, so My Green Lab is actually the delivery partner for the Race to Zero program in the biotech and pharmaceutical sector. And what we do every year is we produce a report actually in collaboration with ICE using some data that they've used. And it's the first report to measure the overall carbon impact, scope 1, 2, and 3 in the biotech and pharmaceutical industry. So we measure the industry's progress and we present that report really as sort of a report card to see how well the industry is progressing to their net zero goals.
Tell me about your vision for the overall pharmaceutical industry.
It's an unfortunate reality that the biotech and pharmaceutical industry has a massive and growing environmental footprint. While we're delivering health with new treatments, life-saving medicines, we're also impacting the environment, which ultimately impacts health too. I think biotech and pharmaceutical industry should be the leader on addressing global climate change. And actually, we think it can be a model for the rest of the world's industries to follow.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.